Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to be talking about Mike Wheeler and Will Byers and the potential for their romantic relationship before Stranger Things ends. Before we get into this video, I want to say this. Please be respectful. Before commenting, calling me delusional or willfully ignorant or stupid or a slur, whatever it is you want to say, know that I have heard it before and I will delete your comment. Someone having different opinions about fictional characters is not grounds for hatred or saying degrading things. Ask yourself why it makes you so upset when I say that I ship Byler. I have many friends who love and ship Maleven, and we don't make each other angry when we talk about what we ship. And by making this video, I'm in no way trying to put them down or invalidate anything that any Malevens support or believe. I'm just sharing my own opinions. This is all about fictional characters, so let's be calm and respectful. Now, a month ago, I put out this video where I shared that I was confident that by the end of Stranger Things, Will Byers and Mike Wheeler would be in a romantic relationship. Now, after the first 4 episodes of Stranger Things 5 have come out, do I still feel confident? Yes. Now let's talk about why. In order to take this relationship seriously, you need to look at subtext. You have to exercise that good old media literacy and really look. Now, if you want my whole breakdown of why I believed Byler, the romantic relationship between Will Byers and Mike Wheeler, would be endgame pre-season 5, you should watch the video that I just mentioned. I'm not going to go into the first 4 seasons worth of proof. We are strictly talking about Stranger Things 5, aka this last season and the first 4 episodes that we've gotten. And in Stranger Things 5, Byler will be a snowball that turns into an avalanche. To understand Will's chances of getting the guy, we've got to look at this new friendship with Robin and the weight that their scenes together carry. For one, this pairing is beautiful and empowering representation for the queer community. I don't think that Byler would be possible under the time constraint of Stranger Things 5 without Robin. In just 4 episodes, she has shown Will that queer love is beautiful and attainable. She's normalized that love. She's explained to him how to safely know if someone reciprocates your feelings. She's empowered him to accept himself, to stand up for himself, and to find his voice. Because of all of this, we see Will experiencing hope. Hope! And we as an audience are meant to feel hope too. Let's go roughly in chronological order. In chapter 1, Will sees Robin and Vicky flirting and kissing. This has got to be one of my favorite moments from the whole season so far because it's so refreshing to see Will's face so full of surprise and wonder and hope, and it's so refreshing to see him experiencing positive rite of passage emotions. God, that's depressing to even say. But this show really has just been a Mexican layer dip of Will's trauma, so it's nice to see Robin make such an impact on him. And it's very common in the queer community to have a sort of mentor relationship with someone who's come out before you. I myself have had relationships like that because it's a lot of work to go through on your own, and it's a really scary time. And as far as we know, Robin hasn't found that in someone else, so it's really nice that she's been able to grow in her own self-worth and her identity to the point where she can now turn around and be there to help Will. At first, Will tries to deny that he saw anything between her and Vicky. This is understandable because he doesn't want to make Robin uncomfortable, and he's not ready to potentially open up about how impactful that moment was for him personally. But we still see Robin helping Will in other ways as they slowly become friends. She empowers him to stand up to Joyce when she's smothering him a bit too much, and that sparks the mother and son to have a very much needed conversation about their own relationship. And when Will is finally comfortable enough with Robin, when she's normalized her relationship with Vicky by being open about it with Will, he's able to admit that he saw them kissing and start asking questions. This hospital scene is, dare I say, monumental. Going in, we know that Will loves Mike and that he's closeted. But Will has no experience with romantic relationships, so everything that Robin says to him is going to have a huge impact on his behavior and his outlook. He asks Robin how she knew that Vicky wanted to date, not make out. Very explicitly, he's asking about dating, not just a passion of the moment thing like making out. This is because he loves Mike, and if he wants anything with him, he wants it to be deep and lasting. Sure, he probably wants to kiss the love of his life. Of course he does. But we as an audience are meant to know that Will wants more. There's something so innocent and pure about it. He wants to be loved back. Will is by no means disillusioned to the real world and its hardships, but when he pictures Mike in a romantic way, he imagines something soft and beautiful and committed, which is so cute. It's also worth noting that this very clear distinction between making out and dating is reminiscent of season 3. Back then, when everyone was doing a lot of making out, Will was miserable. In the scripts for season 3, Malevolent making out was written to quote-unquote be disgusting, a young and hormonal thing. Their behavior in season 3 turned a lot of the audience against them as a relationship, and Will even explicitly described Jancy's romantic escapades as gross. So this is kind of the way that Stranger Things has depicted making out in the past. In hindsight, we can interpret Will's reactions during season 3 in a few different ways. Will being asexual has long been a popular headcanon amongst fans. I myself love that one, though I'm not tied to it, but I do love it. He also might not have been able to connect to or fully understand heterosexual intimacy. He might have even just been too young and immature to take it seriously. However you want to interpret it is fine, because ultimately we're all arriving at the same conclusion. Will yearns for Mike to love him, and he's wondering specifically if that's possible. How do we know that he's thinking about Mike, not just any dude in the future? Well, there's a few ways that we can be sure. For one, Robin replies that if someone likes you back, you'll know because there will be signals, shared looks, lingering touches, and these things will snowball into an avalanche. One of the main aspects of Will and Mike's relationship, something that set them apart from all other platonic pairings in the show, are their prolonged shared looks, lingering touches, and general softness around each other. In season 2, that's that exact thing that made me start noticing them as a potential romantic pairing and rooting for it. So this is not a coincidence at all, by the way. Lingering touches and shared looks are how we knew every other romantic relationship was bound to happen. Hopper is guilty of it. Steve is guilty of it. Jonathan is guilty of it. Nancy is guilty of it. Max is guilty of it. Lucas is guilty of it. This is how the Duffers most commonly decide to show romantic interest. And by the way, Mike is far more guilty of initiating these touches and lingering looks than Will is. Remember, Will has been hiding his feelings from Mike. He doesn't want to give himself away. But Mike has been the one holding his hand and just looking at him with a capital L. So it's no wonder Will looks hopeful and amazed in this moment with Robin. We know what Mike's been doing, so of course he knows. And the next bit of evidence we have for knowing that Will is thinking about Mike during that conversation is in the next episode, Chapter 4, Sorcerer, when Mike and Will are talking in the field. This is the first time we see them one-on-one since Will got advice from Robin, and the difference in their dynamic is palpable. Will is clearly less weighed down by his secret. In fact, he's leaning into the way he feels. He's interacting with Mike as if he knows that Mike is being vaguely flirty and like he's trying to signal that he's open to it. He even playfully hit Mike, which is staggering to see as a day one Will Byers fan. Will has never been more confident in himself than he has been this season. But that doesn't mean that he's sure about everything. After this conversation with Mike is over, Will stays behind. We see his mask slipping a bit, his smile fades, and his insecurity rears its head as he overanalyzes the whole conversation and how it went. Will may be feeling braver and more secure in his identity, but that doesn't mean that he's suddenly experienced a full 180. And you know I love visual symbolism, so let's talk about this shot. Mike and Will are both clearly cast in shadow. The last time this happened was during their rain fight. At the end of season 4, we saw Will bathed in light and Mike in the shadows. Crazy that they keep doing that with these two, huh? What other ship has this kind of cinematography? But anyway, it's usually a pretty clear metaphor when it happens, and this time around I'd say it's meant to represent ambiguity. We don't know what Mike is thinking or feeling, and as we see, Will is only tiptoeing around Mike when it comes to romance. Like he's poking around and peeking in the cracks and trying to understand and hoping that he finds reciprocation. Now, at this point, I'm sure you're thinking, what about Elle? Is Mike not with Elle? Why are we even humoring this? Surely Will doesn't stand a chance. Well, Robin was thinking the same thing. That's why she told Will about Tammy Thompson. In her eyes, Will's love is unrequited and he needs help moving on from it. This scene spooked a lot of Byler shippers, but I am here to report that I am not spooked. In fact, after episode 4 of Stranger Things 5, I'm even more confident in Byler being endgame. Robin's monologue was beautiful, and Maya's acting in this scene was phenomenal. We see how much it meant to Will in the moment because it literally moved him to tears. He needed to be told that his worth was not tied to whether or not his romantic feelings were reciprocated, and that any power he held came from him and not from others. Robin's whole point was that she thought Tammy Thompson was the one, and she wasn't. She was straight. She thought that Tammy's love would help her come to love herself, but she was capable of doing that without someone else. It was about her. This is a story about Robin's experience, but it's not Will's. Robin said all of these things, again, under the impression that Will needed help moving on. But how did Will take it? Well, we find out later. Before Will's powers are revealed, and I still can't believe that's a sentence I even get to say, he thinks back to what Robin said. If that monologue was meant to kill a Byler endgame, we would have seen Will looking back on memories of himself. Just him. Instead, it opens with Mike asking Will to be his friend. We see Will find strength in the love that he's received. This scene is not about empowering Will to stand on his own and move on from his love of Mike. No, it's about him finding strength in it. And yes, he can stand on his own, but he's very clearly finding strength in the love. Mike, Jonathan, and Joyce, the only 3 people in these flashbacks, are the 3 most important people to Will. We knew this back in season 2 because they were the only ones in the shed with him, aside from Hopper, but he was mainly there to protect them and be the strength. And he was not contributing to any of those conversations. And let's just acknowledge how beautiful of a scene this is, too. The fact that it played out like Will was watching old home movies like Robin said that she had when she came to this revelation. The fact that the memories that the Duffers chose to include were the ones that they used to try and break him free from the possession in season 2. It's all just perfect. Anyway, this scene did not kill the chances of Mike and Will ending up together. It made it more likely. Byler isn't being paralleled with Robin and Tammy. It's being paralleled with Robin and Vicky, with the pining and the shared looks and touches and a snowball that gradually turns into an avalanche. If anything, Mike and Elle's relationship is what's being paralleled with Robin and Tammy Thompson, insinuating that it was love at first sight, just like Mike did in the I Love You monologue. The idolizing of someone like Mike does with Elle, seeing her in slow motion, just like Mike did in season 2 when Elle arrived. As I said in my Byler analysis video, Mike and Elle feel a lot of love for each other, but as individuals, they're better when they aren't together, at least in my opinion. Elle's arc is about independence, and Mike has always been insecure in their relationship. Conversely, Mike isn't insecure around Will at all. In fact, he seems to snap out of whatever he's feeling and really become the best version of himself. He's also always been the one to believe that Will is capable of doing great things. He did it in season 2, and he did it in season 5. He told Will that he was capable of spying back against the Mind Flayer, and in this episode, we see him encouraging Will and saying that he's capable of harnessing the hive mind. Will was empowered by what Robin said, and he used that momentum to take Mike's advice. Every step of the way, he's been thinking about Mike. In Volume 2 of Stranger Things, I think we can expect the avalanche to begin. I think Mike's feelings will become more and more clear to Will and to the audience. I mean, we still have to address the painting and the fact that Will lied about it, and the fact that Will's feelings are the only reason that Mike was able to tell Elle that he loved her. And Mike doesn't even know that Will is gay. And if this metaphor is really meant to reflect Byler, this avalanche will be just as big and powerful and inescapable as an actual avalanche is. Or maybe it's like a leak that they can't contain. A leak from a pipe that Mike broke. Mike will need to learn about Will's feelings, confront his own feelings for Will, reevaluate his relationship with Elle, end things with her, and get together with Will. Sounds like a lot for 4 episodes, huh? Sounds unlikely, huh? No. It's really not unlikely at all. I wouldn't be making whole videos about it if I thought that it was unlikely. I wouldn't have struggled to make my Byler evidence video no longer than 45 minutes if I thought that it was unlikely. So what I'm saying is, why would the writers be doing any of this if it weren't going to go somewhere? Will could be gay and not in love with Mike. They introduced this. They're doing this because it's meant to go somewhere. I've said it a million times, but Will's story is not going to end with rejection. It makes no sense with his character arc. And it's not going to end with him quietly moving on either, because if that was going to happen, then it would have happened in this episode. We would have seen it happening in those flashbacks. We would have seen Will finding power in himself, not in others. It wouldn't have been about love. I'll say that again. Will's story is not going to end with rejection. And if it were going to end with him choosing to move on, it would have happened in episode 4. When that flashback showed Mike, it was confirmation that loving Mike was one of Will's greatest strengths. It's a superpower. I've seen single scenes change people's entire perception of a character. I'm more than confident that the Duffers can fulfill all the requirements of a Byler endgame in 4 episodes, one of which that's 2 hours long. I'm excited to see what happens next because Volume 1 of Stranger Things 5 did not let me down in any regards. And if I'm wrong, if all of this has been for literally no point other than to say, hey, wouldn't it be fun to watch this character that's done nothing but suffer for 5 seasons get rejected by his best friend, a morbid little cherry on top before we send them off? Then, well, that's pretty shitty and a terrible way to end a show. Like, I don't know. What do you think? Please let me know in the comments down below, respectfully, what you think about Mike and Will and their chances of ending up together. As I said, I think that not only is it possible, but that it's very likely. I've seen Stranger Things many, many times, and it's been incredibly validating to be right about Will Byers. I don't know how to say this without like coming off as arrogant, because at the end of the day, I don't know what the writers are doing. I was not in the room when they wrote it or when they filmed it. I can only guess based on what I've seen. But I've been a Will Byers fan since day one. And so I've been analyzing Will Byers since day one. And I have not been wrong about anything to do with his character or his character arc or anything. I haven't been wrong. I wasn't wrong about him being gay. I wasn't wrong about him having powers. I wasn't wrong about his character arc being stretched out over the course of the series, which I predicted seasons ago. I wasn't wrong about his arc being about self-acceptance and finding his voice and being able to stand up for himself and no longer hiding. Like, I am saying this as humbly as I can with the knowledge that I do not know what's going to happen, but I wasn't wrong about any of those things. So I feel unsure that I would be wrong about this when, again, I am analyzing it through the lens of someone who loves Will Byers. And like, this is the only ending that makes sense for him as a character. And again, if it was going to be about him letting go of his love for Mike, we would have seen it happen in episode 4. So I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I could, on New Year's Day, I could be eating my words, but we're not going to know until we know. So let me know in the comments what you think. Subscribe if you want to see more of my Stranger Things coverage. My reactions are coming out slowly. I posted my reaction to the last few minutes of episode 4. I literally only got an hour of sleep because I did that. Somehow I still managed to run a race in the morning, and I survived. and I actually felt great, which was unexpected because, again, I only got an hour of sleep. But the rest of my reactions I've started editing, and they're going to be coming out in order, I promise. Um, so, yeah, subscribe if you want to see any of that. Please let me know if there's anything specific that you want me to talk about between these volumes. I think I'm going to be spending a lot of my time editing these reactions. But yeah, thank you guys for watching and for hearing me out. I very much appreciate it. And I love you all very much. And I love this show very much. And I really love Will Byers, and I want him to be happy. Have a good day, everyone. Bye.